It is 5:15-ish on October 4th, 2022. I will go ahead and call the meeting to order. Jane, will you roll call?
Shaven.
Here.
Bielenberg.
Here.
Peterson.
Here.
Lindberg.
Here.
Rudolph.
Here.
Councilmember Kroger will be absent tonight.
And we've all received the agenda. I think it was updated yesterday, day before. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
Motion. Second.
Motion by Lindberg, second by Peterson.
Roll call. Shaven.
Aye.
Bielenberg.
Aye.
Peterson.
Aye.
Lindberg.
Aye.
Rudolph.
Aye.
Thank you.
And if there's any conflicts, you guys can state those along the way. Under the consent agenda, all these items listed will be enacted by one motion with a roll call vote. Under that item is the minutes of September 2022 council meeting. Claims list 1275, the amount of $360,717.16. We all received some of the higher ones. I think the majority of that one was Western Engineering for the street work.
Final payment on streets, and then some airport payments, and then project whether stream bank bidding and final construction docks. So those projects are underway.
Okay. The HMU sewer landfill reconciliation report for August of 2022. Committee reassignment of Kroger has been traded to the airport. Bielenberg has been traded back to the library through December of 2023, with players to be named later for that one, probably.
Salary cap hit.
There's no cash exchange as far as I know, or library books or old fines that you hadn't paid or something, or whatever.
I hope so.
Okay.
She's here in attendance.
Yeah, she's not even here. She didn't show up to defend herself. So, but I appreciate you guys doing that. So,
I appreciate sharing treatment.
and review the application of Victoria Station for a temporary premise transfer special event Class C liquor license for Sunday, October 30th of 2022. Any questions, discussions about any of those? Nope. Is there a motion to approve consent agenda?
Motion.
Second. Motion by Rudolph, second by Shaven.
Roll call. Shaven.
Aye.
Bielenberg.
Aye.
Peterson.
Aye.
Lindberg.
Aye.
Rudolph.
Aye.
Thank you.
Now, moving on to the public hearing regarding the plans, specs, and form of contract for the Exchange Street Stream Bank Improvement Project. We all received those. I think the bids, what, till 3 o'clock today, Gene? Is that when that was
That is correct.
Closed?
And then there's a number of items underneath this public hearing. Today was the final adoption of these plans and specs that have been prepared by Snyder and Associates. This entire document was sent to you prior to the last meeting. It's been available publicly as well as out on the website and social media. And it's again was a nice small document of 72 pages, but the last 4 pages highlighted the plans. Again, our objective here is to clear out a problem area down near off to the east of the Exchange Street Bridge. It's about 125 feet east of the bridge. Clearing and grubbing some tree area, cleaning out the main channel, and then getting a slope on both sides to stabilize those areas, put in revetment, and then, as I spoke to last time, these two kind of squiggly boxes or squiggly long rectangles, that's the new revetment to essentially straighten out that channel in that problem area and mitigating any further erosion to the property owner to the north and south, which is the most problematic area down there. So that's the highlight of it. And what's in front of you is final adoption of these plans and specs prior to reporting on the bids.
Okay.
And we do have our engineers on the phone from Snyder if there's any technical questions. I know we've got a property owner here to the south, and there was a question as to if we needed to temporarily remove fence, and does not appear so, and that's not in the contractor's needs nor in our original or engineer's view of the site. If that changes as construction begins, obviously there'll be coordination with you if that needed to happen. That's all I have to report, unless if you have any questions for our engineers on the phone. And Dave and Eric, you're able to hear us on the phone all right?
Yeah, we can hear you, Gene.
Great, okay, thank you.
Anybody have any questions for them or for Gene? Okay, is there a motion to close the hearing?
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Peterson, second by Rudolph.
Roll call Shaven,
Aye.
Bielenberg,
Aye.
Peterson,
Aye.
Lindberg,
Aye.
Rudolph.
Aye.
Thank you.
Next up then is Resolution 2509, approving the plans, the specifications, and form of contract for Exchange Street Stream Bank Improvement Project. Which we've already kind of talked about it, I looked at it. Just
It's a matter of
Next step
procedure, we
in
have to do a
process.
final resolution to
Yeah.
adopt those.
motion to approve Resolution 2509.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Motion by Lindberg, second by Bielenberg.
Roll call Shaven,
Aye.
Bielenberg,
Aye.
Peterson,
Aye.
Lindberg,
Aye.
Rudolph.
Aye.
Thank you.
Then item C is review the construction bids, bid tabulation for the Exchange Street Stream Bank Improvement Project.
As noted, the bid deadline and bid opening was at 3 o'clock today. I believe there were more than, or not I believe, there were more than 10 contractors that either checked into the site or pulled plans. We were pleased to see that there were 4 bids received this afternoon. We had representatives from Snyder here that are now on the phone that facilitated the bid opening. I'll report on those. Bidder 1 was Performance Grading out of Harlan, Iowa for $55,660. Bidder 2 was Empire Construction out of Red Oak for $72,490. Bidder 3 was Pruitt Grading out of Logan for $76,533. And Johnson Excavating out of Sloan, Iowa for $78,640. Our engineer cost opinion, we had an initial study done about a year and a half ago with some preliminary estimations, and obviously with construction costs and a lot of variability in the market. So I know Snyder's on the phone if they wanted to comment on their estimate, but it's nice when our bids come in. You know, the 70,000 ones were just, 10 or 15,000 under the engineer estimate, but the local contractor was very competitive there, and I think due to some mobilization and proximity for some debris was one of the key factors. So those are the report of the bids, and they all complied with the bid bond, confirming we received the addendum, and all the other requirements were fulfilled. And we would recommend, and what will be before you next is, we would recommend performance grading for that contract. Dave or Eric, anything you'd like to comment on from these bids?
No, Gene, I think you covered it very well. We fully expect our local contractors to put in good bids, so we were glad to see that.
So that's all we had on the report of the bids.
And I was looking at, I guess, that number 4, the stone, Class E, is that, looks like there's a little bit of discretion, or a little bit lower. There's, all the same quality. I mean, that stone is stone. They could make it cheaper, or they can, looks like, or they can get it cheaper, I guess, because it's local.
Based upon where they priced it, where it was coming out of, but that's a DOT spec,
Okay.
which is a Class C, and it specifies percent of riprap is technically what it is. And this Class E, gosh, they're between 90 pounds and 250 pounds, I think, is what those stones need to be at, and it's either 80 or 90% of that needs to meet that criteria.
Okay.
And based upon how contractors might put certain costs in different line items, they may not be that, they may put a little more mobilization to bring down the cost of the stone, just how it reflects here. But that's how they reported on the bid sheet.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions, discussion about it? So we probably can move on to D, Resolution 2510, making the award of contract for the Exchange Street Stream Bank Improvement Project to Performance Grading for $55,660. Is there a motion for that?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Motion by Lindberg, second by Peterson.
Roll call. Shaven.
Aye.
Bielenberg.
Aye.
Peterson.
Aye.
Lindberg.
Aye.
Rudolph.
Aye.
Thank you.
Next up, under other business, is receive and file the minutes from Personnel and Finance Committee meeting on 9/27 of '22. A motion for those minutes.
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Peterson, second by Shaven.
Roll call. Shaven.
Aye.
Bielenberg.
Aye.
Peterson.
Aye.
Lindberg.
Aye.
Rudolph.
Aye.
Then out of that, review and recommendation of handling errors in billing, the same as what HMU's policy is, adjusting an overcharge or undercharge for a period of 1 year prior to discovery of said error. I think most of us were at that meeting. Gene, anything to add to that?
I'll be happy to just do a quick recap and paint the picture. I know we've got Joe Ruschenberg, CEO of HMU, so if Joe has any comments to add. As a refresher reminder that for consolidated billing for many years, since back in the 70s I believe, for customer accounts and citizens, the sewer and landfill is a city utility or service. Gas, water, electric, telecom are on the HMU side, but it's consolidated billing. HMU is, as a partner, provided that for us for many years. This policy on the HMU side, which is one of the general policies, was updated in '98, and then just about 45 days ago was updated to reflect, the only change to this is when it was in front of the HMU board, was to provide a time-bound constraint. The previous policy left it open-ended. And this could be either for credits or for where underbilling errors had happened for various reasons, which is stated in this policy. The policy does indicate sewer and landfill, and with the change and update, we have an opportunity to, through various meetings, communications, shared it with Personnel and Finance, so we had a full understanding of scope and impact. Not only staff time, if the city were to do something different than the 1 year, less or more, there would be staff impact there, and you tried to bill that differently, and then also just understanding any account impact. And through all that, I think we've done a lot of kind of due diligence and information sharing, and after that review of Personnel and Finance, the recommendation was to follow this policy as it was adopted by HMU, and felt it was important to have that reflected from the City Council as well for the sewer and landfill. And say if anyone else has comments or.
Yeah, and on that case too, I guess if we're moving forward, Gene, I know in that last meeting I think you had attended, we had actually struck the sewer and landfill from that temporarily until you guys had worked through.
Okay.
So I mean, if the city's in agreement with that 1 year, we would turn back around probably our next board meeting and clarify that.
Finalize that.
Yeah, finalize that the sewer and the landfill will be that 1 year also. Or it will remain, I guess, or go back to what we originally had in that policy. That makes sense.
Anybody else have any questions?
Simple, consistent.
Yep. It's fair and firm.
Yep. Okay, you make a motion for that one?
I'll make that motion to mirror HMU's policy.
Second.
Motion by Lindberg, second by Shaven.
Roll call. Shaven.
Aye.
Bielenberg.
Aye.
Peterson.
Aye.
Lindberg.
Aye.
Rudolph.
Aye.
Thank you.
And then next up was discuss the permanent part-time paid leave benefits. gotten with Gene. I thought these people were all here to see the new guy in the library room, but I think they have an interest in what we're going to talk about. So it's good to have people in attendance.
This is a topic that was looked at a year plus ago through budget time. We have department leaders here from the departments that have permanent part-time team members that are key assets to our city services. Their commitment, and I'd like to call it flex, and utility players that can really just carry on services for, we've got our activity center and vets, and our parks, and our library, which has the largest share of permanent part-time folks. And again, for a few either knew, it was reviewed with the council a year plus ago, a year or more ago, and no action was taken. And through the kind of continued support and interest really on city staff and from our department leaders, feel this is a really important topic. Being mindful of the state of the job market, and as well as the importance to not only attract but retain and appreciate our permanent part-time folks that deliver core services and are, let's say, key assets to the team. I believe the number is 7. There's 7 permanent part-time on staff, and this would this policy, or this was provided to you in your packets. We've discussed it before. We reviewed again at the Personnel and Finance Committee meeting, and it looks like
Just don't zoom out.
Zoom's doing a little reset here. So
I lost Wi-Fi, I just lost it as well.
no, it looks like it did, because I had a disconnect. Bear with us for just one moment. As our permanent part-time staff, or part-time staff don't receive any vacation pay, sick pay, holiday pay, this would be, so if they were scheduled to work on a holiday, they wouldn't qualify for anything. If they need time off for a personal appointment or family during a regularly scheduled time, they wouldn't receive any pay. And in our budgeting process, it's already accounted for through the budget because they allocate those hours for the whole year. So it's a net zero to any budgeting and or tax asking. Either that shift is not filled, or they flex and try to catch up some hours on another day, or they just go short pay for the week. And so this is the policy. It's been reviewed by our labor attorney, and this would be based upon an anniversary date. And after 6 months would qualify for 35 hours, and after 1 year would qualify for 70. And it does not carry over year to year. And as indicated in here, if they were ever to separate employment, the max that would be paid out would be 25 hours. So that's a recap and a highlight. Any of our department leaders want to speak, or?
I guess I can. It's Tim Miller, Parks Department. We rely on our part-time people to do the job. I go to meetings, I don't get work done, right? And so we rely on our part-time people. They're the ones that are actually, for me, they're the ones mowing the grass. They're the ones doing the weed eating while I'm doing the planning, sitting in meetings and that. So they are of vital importance for us. And for me to be able to keep my permanent part-time person, the same one, all along, right now she just goes. She's a workhorse and she knows how to do the job and she just goes. So this is just for retention for her and also to say thank you to her. 4th of July, she doesn't work, she doesn't get paid. Thanksgiving, we get 2 days off, she doesn't get paid. So this is going to help make that. And I know we've lost about 6 full-time positions within the city over the last 6 years, to where we've been using part-time people to make up for that full-time person. Kelly's one person running vets and dirt. 2 buildings, tough for one person to run 2 buildings. Amanda's done amazing things at the library, and I don't know how she's done it with just part-time people compared to the full-time people, but our library is thriving, but multiple libraries are closing. And for her and for Kelly, it's these part-time people that are doing the work. And we need to show them some appreciation. So, does anybody else want to?
My only comment is, I think my staff can attest to it, that there's absolutely no difference in responsibility in our building between a full-timer and a part-time employee. You guys say that, like, here I have a part-time adult services librarian, and here I have a full-time youth services librarian. So she works 25 hours, and she has 30, she's full-time, so she's just at that, under that 40 mark. They have the same responsibilities to our library. But I have to limit her because I can't get her full-time. So there's no different expectations, and I think Jean said it right. We want to be able to attract good employees for these positions. We know at the library, Elaine's going to retire at the end of June, and we want to be able to attract good people coming into the library. So, our team is really what makes our library grow. We had 6 when I started here, and we have 12 now. But they all work crazy different hours. But for the people that we're really focusing on is that 20 to 29 hours a week. But we are glad that it's on the agenda, that it's being looked at, and that you guys as city leaders realize the importance to the city to have people out there giving 100%, to the taxpayers and that's what they expect. They don't care if it's a full-timer or a part-timer who's sitting at the circulation desk. They just want somebody who knows what the heck's going on.
Exactly.
That's all I have.
Thanks, Amanda.
Thank you.
Thanks for speaking, guys.
Yeah. Anybody else have any comments up here? And I know we've talked about this more than a year plus, I'm sure, but we all know the landscape's changed a little bit out there and we understand you guys have made some cuts, changed your landscape to accommodate, making things work with maybe a few less full pieces. You got partial pieces that you're making that puzzle work, so we do appreciate you guys as the leaders in those departments making this work too. So it's something that I think that's a good thing that hopefully helps trying to retain the ones that you have. So is there a motion on this one then?
Just a quick question. So we make this motion to approve this. That goes effective today, October 4th, going forward?
Yep, so the motion needs to reflect is we retro it to October 1st.
Okay.
And it'll be prorated for this year.
Okay, perfect.
To the anniversary date.
Okay.
And then Jane will work with Ashley and payroll, and they're already starting to put that, not those numbers together.
Perfect.
It's 7 employees. And
I will make that motion then to make that permanent part-time paid leave benefits effective October 1st.
Second.
Motion by Lindberg, second by Rudolph.
Roll call, Shaben.
Aye.
Bielenberg.
Aye.
Peterson.
Aye.
Lindberg.
Aye.
Rudolph.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Yep.
Thanks.
Yes.
Oh, thank
No.
you.
Yes.
Applause is the other way around, by the way.
Thank you.
Next up, the ordinance 2022-06, amending chapter 69 pertaining to parking regulations by adding subsection 69.17, prohibiting semi-tractor trailer parking in city parks. This is the first reading of this ordinance.
this was introduced, recommended from the Parks Commission, and was in front of you last meeting, so we got the ordinance drafted, and it would be an additional section 69.17. Again, this would then be a local requirement or law, which permits enforcement, so it gives some teeth to it for officers as well to issue citations. And this would be for any of our city parks where that are not designed to have heavy traffic and or traffic sitting overnight. We've had 2 areas, and one specifically being Lake George, and this will provide a lot of clarity to it and help us enforce it. And I would recommend, or I would ask you to consider that there be at least a second reading at the next meeting to allow any other public input, but that's certainly at your discretion.
Okay. So we need to vote on this then for the first reading?
Yes.
Okay. Is there a motion to?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Motion by Bielenberg, second by Peterson.
Roll call Shaven.
Aye.
Bielenberg.
Aye.
Peterson.
Aye.
Lindberg.
Aye.
Rudolph.
Aye.
Thank you.
And then, last item under other business is review the application for street closing for October 9th for the Harlan Fire Department Breakfast Open House. And that's like, you gotta look at that 7 to noon.
Yes, yep, here was a permit. And Richard, you may have maybe a little more updates beyond the fire department, but when COVID happened a few years ago, that as many other fundraisers, they went to an entirely drive-through option. That last year, they stayed with the same drive-through option, as that went swimmingly well. Yet the department is wanting to attempt a hybrid approach this year with open house at the fire hall with breakfast in-house, and then also offering the drive-through option. And this would accommodate minimizing and managing traffic flow and helping with safety for that period from spring down to cyclone to minimize traffic pulling back out as they're leaving. So on a Sunday morning, limited traffic flow, traffic in that area normally, but I would expect Sunday mornings probably less so. And then the fire department will direct traffic on site, but closing that street down will improve the safety.
Yep.
Anything you want to add to that, Richard, for me?
Nope, just trying to get people back in for regular open house options.
There won't be any conflict with like medevac or anything?
No, they're on the opposite side.
Yep.
They'll still be able to get through.
Okay, good question.
There's always a turning lane if someone's
I figured sneaking through.
Yeah, there shouldn't be any stopped cars out on the cyclone.
Okay, is there a motion for that one?
Motion.
A second.
Motion by Peterson, second by Bielenberg.
Right, that works.
Roll call Shaven.
Aye.
Bielenberg.
Aye.
Peterson.
Aye.
Lindberg.
Aye.
Rudolph.
Aye.
Thank you.
City Administrator's Report.
Well, as in the past, it seems like you do plenty of updates and chatter throughout the meeting agenda, and then it gets to my report and I get to chatter a little bit more. So provide some highlights and updates of things going on and recognize a few areas as well. I shared with you just in the last day that our police department, law enforcement, they received various notes of appreciation, thank yous, etc. from the public, and one of those examples happened in the last few weeks. Officer Riley Walter, we talked many times about doing that extra effort, or in our culture we talk about that extra degree, 1 degree, and how it impacts. I had a nice personal note from a family that a wife and a daughter were, a key fob wouldn't work, and come to find out the battery in the key fob was not operational, and Officer Walter went and secured a battery and provided the battery and allowed her to get back in the car and save the other family time coming from out of town. So just those little things like that that I think make all of our team members and all departments special, but it's wanted to shout out for Riley in that regard. And I'd share that letter of appreciation with you yesterday. October 9th through 15th is Fire Prevention Week. The month of October is Fire Awareness Month, and then there's various activities through the schools and with fire prevention. So our volunteers will be out there educating and taking the toys and trucks and letting the youngsters see those things. And then the breakfast is, Sunday morning from 7 to noon. We've had a rezoning request, so that was published in today's paper, and notice is going out. So it's a rezoning request at Lincoln and Morse. So our Planning and Zoning Commission will meet on October Thursday, October 13th at noon to hear a rezoning request from a single family to a medium density residential. That commission will be assembling then. Our street department is continuing to be very active with tree removal. I think I heard an update. They were able to achieve 15 trees last week. That's quite an active week. This week then they're following up on stump removal, and the other activity this week has been some street sweeping and patching areas prior to as the weather changes for winter. That will happen this year, I believe. So getting some patchwork done. The taxi lane project at the airport, if you've been out driving by down south on 59, the pre-pour meeting for the south taxi lane, that pre-pour for concrete happened last week. So they may have poured today, and then a lot more removal of asphalt in the base bid area, which is on the north side there. So I believe they're 18 days into the contract of a 50-day project. That's going along well. Down at the J.J. Jensen complex, if you've been by there, the nonprofit group that's putting up the new batting indoor facility, if you've not been by there, all the framing's up, and I saw 2 sides are already sheeted.
2 sides, and they're doing the roof today.
So, 100,000 square foot building. Not been down by there, certainly can go down and quite a structure, but it's coming along well, and no issues at this point. This Friday, the IWEA, which is the Iowa Water Environmental Association, will be at the Turkelson Center. I believe there may be some HMU folks there as well, maybe not, but I know our wastewater. And then Mayor Jay is providing some welcoming comments. There'll be 70 to 75 other operators from across the state. And, Mayor Jay will provide some welcoming comments and welcome to the community. So I want to highlight that and be sure that got on the mayor's schedule.
That's a good reminder.
And last couple of items. Halloween will be Monday, October 31st. I know the chambers, they do a great job of getting that information cascaded out. And that will be 5:30 to 7:30 this year on a weeknight. It will be trick or treat hours. And then the last 2 items I have, my photography skills are not going to be excellent here. And as you can see, this is through the glass, but it was out at a meeting with Todd a week ago. And this is the space that was previously the city space on the north end of the Iowa Western building. Again, that's been repurposed into hands-on educational space. And you can see there's an engine here, there's a car inside, there's a truck outside for diesel mechanic, some fencing, and already repurposed the space. There's some classroom tables, yeah, you can see up front here. Awesome to see some of the repurposing towards education, youth, and trades. So if you've not been out there, you can walk out and take a peek in the window. That's my best photography skills. Anything you want to add to that, Todd? I think you mentioned they've been a great partner, and you've enjoyed seeing the activity with the kids out there.
Exactly. They've been a great partner. The kids are really taking to the classes, especially the diesel mechanic and the auto mechanic. They're just, you know, it's kind of funny. I leave and go to lunch and come back, and I've got about 12 pickups parked in the parking lot as those kids are showing up for class. So, and looking to add to and expand more. Dr. Kinney's been a wonderful partner, and he's just told me if things are needed, let them know, and they'll figure out how to get the program started. So that plus them starting the CDL program. Right now it's still only in Council Bluffs. We're trying to find enough demand here in Shelby County so that they'll actually hold some CDL classes here too. Yep, going great.
It's good to see.
And then lastly, Jane and I had the opportunity to attend the Iowa League of Cities annual conference in Waterloo last week. Shared those, it's an annual event. Don't believe any of you have had the opportunity. It will be in Cedar Rapids next year, and then Sioux City the following year. Our Iowa League, which we're members of, there's 970 cities more or less than Iowa. Our Iowa League of Cities and the team, Executive Director Alan Kemp, many receive maybe weekly updates and emails from the league, the monthly publication as far as key items or updates that impact and educate public officials. There were over 470 representatives from across the state there last week, a lot of mayors, council members, various topics, a lot of networking. And at the annual business meeting, which is an official meeting each year as they have delegates on site, they provided a slideshow, and I asked if they would send it to me so I could share it with our local council. And it's 2.5 minutes, so bear with me, but it's a year in review, and it speaks in terms of all the services, programs that we experience. I know Jane and I, and we say possibly some of you, the Mayor's Association is coordinated through there, so I know the mayor received some updates on that. So I wanted to, hopefully this will load, and nothing better to share this with you and let this speak for itself. So hopefully this will play for you. I wanted to share that with you. Once again, they're an excellent resource for all cities, and again, we routinely reach out to them, go to their library for best practices, bounce ideas off of them, and a great networking opportunity for elected officials. One highlight I do want to point out is at the Hill and during legislative session, Robert Palmer is the full-time person on staff that he's on the Hill, and he's legislating for municipalities and cities and a voice for us. And at the annual business meeting, they did pass the legislative values for the next 2 years, and you might anticipate the top two are home rule, continue to advocate and support home rule, and the second is being very critical and questioning a lot of what might be unfunded mandates that sometimes reach the local level, and there's these requirements and there's no funding behind it. So it's asking maybe our parks or either requirements for parks or libraries or other, somebody's got to provide that or deliver on that, or maybe it's new law enforcement matters, but where's the funding behind it to carry that out? So the League's a great resource, and they do a lot on our behalf, and that's why we're a member, and want to share that with you. Those are all the updates I have, unless you have comments or questions for me. Thanks for bearing with me.
The trees, Gene, is that, you said 15, are those the ash trees or just trees in general in the city of Harlan?
Most of those were ash trees last week. I think 2 were off of the tree list that were not ash trees that were scheduled for removal.
It's pretty well known the ash trees are going to have to go away.
And sat down with the editor of the newspaper just a week ago, and
I'm hoping to run it next week.
provide her a wealth of resources, not only myself, but with the DNR. And
yeah, I factored that one tree, that lady Lisa was going to talk to.
Okay. So thanks for partnering with us, and thanks for reaching out on that topic. So as far as just the management and our approach with all the trees in the right of way, and some resources for private property owners on how to manage either if they were not fully dead yet, or how you might want to treat those, and if not, approaches for removal.
And what was the estimate in town, Gene, as far as, I think, in total ash trees?
We started with 333, and as of this week, we're now down below 270. And we anticipate it'll be over a period of about 5 years. And again, the most egregious, where there's rot or splitting or create hazard to other property or public areas, we're the one we'll address first.
And just to clarify, that's only in the right of ways.
That's what I was going to say.
That's not property owners.
Yeah, that's
not parks.
quite a few in the park. We got most of the parks mapped.
Yeah.
So it's public space and right of way. Yeah. Does not include private property.
Yeah.
That's correct.
Anybody else have anything for Gene? Nope, thanks, Gene. Under the mayor's report, I don't have anything assigned to me anyway, so I'll move on to Todd Valine, the Shelby County Chamber of Commerce and Industry.
Good evening, just kind of a reminder, community reminder, as well as a couple of dates. Community reminder is, even though we had officially announced that the income survey ended on the 30th, we still need more responses. So if you have not filled out an income survey yet, please do. You can get them either at our office, you can come by City Hall here and pick them up. They're also available online. You can go out multiple social media sites, and actually the online one's easier because you just click the link, and within 10 seconds you're done with the survey. So
what's the date, Todd, that you can extend that to?
Right now, it's not really, don't have a specific date, but we do need to get it done as soon as we can get it done so we can move forward with everything else.
We've only had 103 responses so far.
Yeah, so we're only at about 25% of the response rate we need. We need more people to respond.
Thanks for mentioning that, Todd. We just saw an update on that today, and I hadn't carried that over in my notes, but we'll get that reposted on social media as well. Thank you.
And then just a couple of calendar items. One being this Thursday, if anybody in the public or anybody on the council has an interest in looking at the Teammates program at the school, it's a mentoring program. It's been a very strong program for Harlan Community School District. There is going to be a quote-unquote pep rally from 8 to 9 in the morning at the ground. So come on over Thursday morning to the grounds, have a cup of coffee, and learn a little bit more about the Teammates program. There'll be current mentors there along with some of the mentees. So. And then finally, October 15th, just want to mention this because they do such a great job with it, is the No Tricks, Just Treats out at the Initiative Bend Recreation Area. So everybody who camps out there on that weekend, they all load up with candy and decorate their campsites, and the kids go out and have a great time. So again, it's October 15th, it's from 4 to 6, and I just want to make sure that folks are aware that was going on.
And I'll be out there, so make sure to stop out and say hi.
Yeah, that's really taken off too, I think. I mean, because I think last year we ran out of candy from the sheriff's office, and then because we had no idea what to expect. I think they had like over 500 trick-or-treaters coming out, and I was like,
it's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a ton of fun, because then they kind of wander around the woods too and have some fun.
Yeah, get outdoors, yeah.
All right, that's
Okay.
it for me.
Thanks, Todd. Next up, HMU, Joe Ruschenberg.
Hello, everyone. Just wanted to give a few of the highlights, I guess, from our board meeting last Thursday. Kyle was in attendance. Just wanted to touch on a few things. Board received and filed the 21-22 fiscal year audit. And that is it's at the state for review and also at our office, I guess, if anybody wants to review that audit. At the meeting also, we updated our nepotism policy, and we actually just eliminated first cousins, uncle, aunt, nephew, and niece from our policy, just to make it, I guess, just a little less restrictive as far as with the, hiring climate that we have, just so we're not as restrictive. So that was passed or updated. We also improved the engineering agreement with McClure Engineering for our water project. This is kind of the final draft of that engineering agreement. So that was also approved. Also approved the contract with EXO Group, who's going to be doing the inspection and treatment of the poles on our 69 kV line, between here and Avoca. There again, I think I mentioned they're going to try to get that done here October, November. Try to get that accomplished here yet before, winter sets in, instead of trying to wait till spring. That way we can start planning as far as what a possible maintenance project could be for next spring possibly, to do any pole replacement and so forth. And last item is we did get a new journeyman lineman hired. He actually started yesterday, Frank Irby. So he's kind of originally from Harlan, was working down in Atlantic for like 15 years. So now he's back in town and we got him on staff. So
good deal.
Things are looking up for the electric department. Now we got to look at, kind of longevity there. We probably got some guys, being guessers, kind of getting close to retirement. So I think we got to keep, trying to keep plan forward, for replacements. But we're starting to get a little bit closer to fully staffed in a lot of those departments. So. All right. Any questions? All right. Thank you.
Thanks, Joe. Any comments from the public? Any comments from the council?
Good job.
I appreciate everybody coming and speaking tonight.
Okay, meeting adjourned.